It's so quiet. And there goes the mic. Welcome, everybody. To this special Innovation Café. It's Women in Tech. Welcome. First of all, welcome all of you. Who has been to the Innovation Café before? Okay. So I'll keep the introduction like really short. Every Thursday or every Thursday in a week, that's the wish, every Thursday, we organize an Innovation Café. And the idea is that we combine tech and design together in different kind of topics. And the idea is that we connect to solve the wicked problems that we're facing as Brainport here. But today we have not so much design. It's more about tech. I'm Liselotte Graas. I will be the design part. I'm a designer based in the Netherlands, a social designer. So I don't know so much about tech, so please keep it a bit simple for me. And I have another question. Who of you is not working in tech? Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Okay, yeah, this is going to be a tough crowd then. Okay, we'll see how it goes. So if you have any questions, if you look like, if I see a question mark on your face, I will ask them for a simpler explanation or a different explanation. Yeah? Okay, first of all, we will start with the trailer, because that's why we're here. The Women in Tech dinner event. And it's all about this amazing series about you guys in tech. So before we start talking about it, please, Robert, start the trailer. Don't walk away. Yeah. Okay, we would do. Shall I start a conversation, Robert? This is how it always goes with tag for me. Okay, we do something else different. This is how it always goes. Okay, always something going wrong. Thank you, Cindy. But also thank you for the improv, because then we start with you. Yeah, we improvise a little bit. Then Robert has time for the... Cindy, welcome.
Hello.
Who are you?
I'm Cindy, Cindy de Koning, press officer, communication officer of the university, the technical university, the University of Techniek in Eindhoven.
And I've heard that you are the initiator of this series. No,
Yeah.
the theory is initiator.
Yeah, that's correct.
And why did you initiate this?
It goes way back, before Corona, I think. As a university, so many student teams, and those student teams do awesome things. Liselotte, there she is. She was part, and also Beatrix was part of solar team with the awesome solar cars, you know, and they went to Australia and did also awesome things. And we thought, okay, what's next? When you're ready, when you finished your university, so that was the first season. So, but she will tell you all about it. Second season was more
too much.
and the third season, okay, what's next? No, it was obviously, as a university, we find diversity very important. We want more females, students and staff at our university. So, but we wanted to show, okay, what can you do after your study? And that's how this was born, this new third season, awesome season. And that's why we do that as a university. Yeah.
Wow. And why is it important to have role models?
Yeah. I don't know how it's for you, but if you don't have a role model and you don't see, okay, and you don't recognize yourself, and then it's very difficult to do what you love or what you think you want to. So you need role models, and here they are, our role models, and we have lots more role models. But I think that young girls, when they see this, when they are at school and think, okay, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be in quantum, or I want to be an inventor, and they don't have parents who say, okay, that's okay for you, then it's important that you see that other girls are doing it, living your dream. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I think it's time to go to the role models.
So. I think that the sound is working now.
Robert?
Yeah?
Yes? Okay, let's go to the trailer. Thank you, Cindy.
Wieteke pakt echt grote onderwerpen vast. Ik denk dat dat ook wel Wieteke typeert. En niet bang zijn voor zo'n grote onderwerpen. Ze is gewoon super stoer.
Dus niet eens in te denken. We zitten nu Star Trek en Star Wars en wat niet te kijken. Ja, waar gaat het heen met de kwantumtechnologie? Sky is the limit, hè?
Een Maartje die bouwt gewoon in haar studententijd een elektrische motor en reist daarmee over de hele wereld samen met een hoop medestudenten.
Ja, de challenge van ons was 80 dagen de wereld rond met onze zelfgebouwde elektrische motorfiets.
En ik denk dat die nuchterheid, samen met die gigantische ambities en die groei die zij weet te pakken, dat heel typerend is voor Maartje, hoe zij is. En Pam zit natuurlijk in haar eerste baan, waarbij ze eigenlijk meteen al laat zien dat je heel veel impact kan maken. Meteen nadat je klaar bent op de universiteit.
Vandaag is dan echt de dag dat we live gaan in Eindhoven. Je werkt heel erg toe naar zo'n lanceringsmoment.
En dat vind ik ook echt iets voor Pam, om op zo'n manier goed te willen doen voor de wereld en dat idealistische toe te passen. Veronne die staat natuurlijk meer aan het begin. Zij was net klaar met haar studie en meteen een start-up.
Ja, ik denk dat ik nog wel mijn stem nog meer laat horen. Want op het begin is dat natuurlijk een beetje onwennig en je zit in de tech-mannenwereld.
En die zoektocht, je ziet gewoon dat ze daar helemaal van opleeft.
Ik heb wel steeds meer de ballen gekregen om gewoon erop in te gaan.
Ja, bij Beatrix, zij bruist gewoon van de energie.
Ik denk wat ik al heb gemerkt, wat ik dacht dat ik best wel goed kon, maar dat ik eigenlijk helemaal niet zo goed kon, is groots denken.
Je wil gewoon zijn waar zij is en wat zij aan het doen is, wil je gewoon volgen.
Je moet echt groots durven denken, die stip op de horizon kunnen zetten. We gaan dit gewoon doen en misschien wordt het dan iets minder wat je haalt. Maar als je die stip niet zet en niet zo groot denkt, dan ga je er helemaal niet komen.
Woo! Big applause for women. Beatrix, I would love to start with you. Who are you and what kind of a company do you work for? What is your role?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Beatrix. I am at the moment working at Carion. We are a tech company here and we are building machines to capture CO2 from the atmosphere. I have studied here in Eindhoven and that's also how I enrolled and got involved in this student team. And I said, I think that was a bit the most life-changing event of my life, which also kept me here and motivated me to work at a startup, to stay in Brainport and to be connected here.
Wow, thank you. And you've been here before, with the Innovation Café.
Yes, we had a very cool
months
project
ago.
with Carbion where we also combined tech with design. And that was very cool. So we explained here a bit more about it, but you can still find it on our website if you want to know more about that.
Okay.
All right, I'm Veronne. I'm one of the co-founders of Aristotle Technologies and the CTO of Aristotle Technologies. And what we do is we develop a web app where you basically train your brain. So we do dual talk cognition training, and that can help with rehabilitation from sports. But we also work with PSV and, for example, elderly who have balance issues. Other than that, I used to study in Nijmegen. I studied artificial intelligence, but by the coincidence of COVID, I went to Eindhoven for half a year, and that's how I met all the co-founders of Aristotle Technologies. So that was some, and now I'm here, crazy ride.
Were you here for personal reasons or for studying?
For studying. So I went here for half a year. I wanted to go abroad, but, I couldn't because of COVID. And then, I met everyone, so let's say it's fate.
Yeah. Wow, thank you. Wieteke, your name I won't forget.
It was also shouted very loud. It's the first word.
Wieteke.
Yeah. So I'm Wieteke. I am the managing director of the Eindhoven Hendrik Casimir Institute, which is one of the 4 research institutes at TU Eindhoven. It focuses on quantum technology, on photonics, and on electronics. So one of the goals of the institute is to combine those different technologies and look at the beautiful things which come from the interface. But we are also very in the rat race of building this quantum computer. Which is very exciting. Also specifically because no one knows what it actually, the capabilities, exactly what it could be doing.
You almost know.
I keep putting pressure on my scientists. That now that in the documentary I actually do make a statement somewhere that it's practically done. So that I mean, no pressure, but yeah. So,
Thank you. We talk about that later, how it's done. Yeah, Lisette.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Liselotte.
Liselotte.
I'm the CTO of WeHeat, which is a tech company focusing on heating for houses through heat pumps. So that's started 2 years ago, and we are growing really fast. But I'm also, well, how do you call that? The presenter of the series, Driven by Challenges, that you just saw. And I was part in my student time when I studied mechanical engineering at the University in Eindhoven. I was part of Solar Team Eindhoven, just like Beatrix. Where indeed, like you call it, a life-changing event. That was for me the same. So yeah, I had a lot of adventures, and now we're here.
Thank you. Eline.
Yeah, so I'm the director, producer of this season. Actually, the first 2 you did by yourself with the cameraman. But since you're so busy, you were like, oh, I need some help with this. So
and also because we needed more talent in it. So
yeah, and I'm not I don't have a technical background. I'm a gender scientist. I studied literature and gender at Utrecht University. And I'm always very fascinated with gender differences and how this plays in different fields and of culture, but also in technology. And after my studies, I went to work for a startup in the Wieteke campus at that time. No, actually, Strijpest, that was the one before. But then I noticed there are no women around here. I was in a team with 22 men, and I was doing communication, as typical female role. But then with my gender background, I reflected and I thought okay, what is happening here in this industry? So when I got the chance to be involved in this 3rd season, which is about women in tech, I immediately jumped on it. And 2 years later, we're here. Yep.
Wow. Eline, we had a small conversation before, actually a phone call yesterday. And I was curious, how do you come from literature to gender studies? For me, it says something about me, but I was curious.
Well, if you learn the literary canon, it's all Dostoevsky and all the big writers, and there are actually no women in there. And the one who were writing at that time were under a pseudonym. And what you see today, women are getting more attention in literature and in culture. So that's actually the bridge towards gender studies. But yeah, it's quite a big interdisciplinary field. I won't bother you with it, but
there's something for the dinner. Eh? That's why we have the dinner events. We can always talk further in depth about certain topics.
Yeah.
Liselotte, I was curious because I just found out that the first 2 series you did yourself with a cameraman. Why did you ask Eline, or what changed that you wanted to do in a different way?
Well, basically the first 2 seasons, it was more that we had the idea and we just started. And I'm very curious, so I just started asking a lot of questions to the people that we interviewed. But in the 3rd season, it is also a very delicate topic, I think. And also indeed because I got more and more involved in WeHeat, so I didn't have the time actually to, because it's a lot of time that you have to invest to make a series. So we thought that subjects really deserved to have the attention that it needed. So that's why we thought if we find someone who has really a big heart for this topic, which Eline obviously has, it gets way more well presented. And that's actually, I think, also how it worked out. So yeah, I'm very happy that we found Eline.
Thank you. Eline, you brought also, like, because we will also talk with the role models, well, your role models as well, of course. You brought three fragments of the series. So we start with the first one, and then afterwards you explain why you choose it. Or do you want to say it in front? No? Okay, we start with the fragment. Robert?
Robert.
I will do like this question.
Ik ben nooit uitmuntend geweest in natuurkunde, scheikunde, wiskunde. Gewoon 7, misschien 8, af en toe een 9. Maar ik vond het voornamelijk gewoon heel erg leuk. En ondanks dat ik eigenlijk op school het advies heb gekregen dat maar toch niet te gaan doen, had ik het geluk dat ik een vader heb met een beta-achtergrond. Mijn vader is scheikundige. En die zei eigenlijk gewoon, ja, als je het leuk vindt, dan moet je dat gewoon gaan doen. Laat je niet door anderen vertellen wat jij wel en niet kan. Als jij het niet kan, dan kan niemand het niet, hè? Dus ja, dat is eigenlijk wel mijn motivatie geweest. Mijn geluk, hè?
Wow. Did you expect this fragment, Wieteke? Sorry, I was actually...
I'm actually happy that from the entire interview that this is a piece that you picked, because I think there is still the stigma where you have to be excellent, and I feel like a lot of girls feel that pressure that they have to be excellent in school, otherwise they and although they like it, but they are not qualified for this type of studies. And this is just, it's not true. And this is, I mean, in my example, I wasn't particularly book smart. So I got by, but I wasn't excelling. But once I started doing research, and that's like a very different, very different skill.
Yeah.
That was actually working out very well for me. Whereas I had a class of all these cum laude with honors people, and so once they started doing research, they failed because
you need different.
It's different skills.
Yeah, different skills for it. Yeah. Eline, did she now already give the answer? Like, why did you choose this fragment?
I chose this fragment actually because of your father, because. In schools and everywhere, girls are kind of pushed to gender norms or traditional thinking that you're good at one thing, and so you're not really pushed into mathematics or beta direction. But what I really like is that you have a father and he's just like, yeah, just do what you like, if that's what you like, do it. And the same for you, Beatrix, right? You also have parents with the scientific background.
Yeah, correct. Yes, in technology.
Technology, yeah.
And were you also accelerating or not accelerating in the...
No, not really. Just good grades, and I really liked math and physics, and I actually really didn't like chemistry.
That's honest.
So, but yeah, for me it was actually very normal to go study to a technical university because both my parents did. So it was like almost, they would almost be afraid that I wouldn't go to the technical university. And then later on I found out that it's actually still not that normal, and they made it very normal for me.
Wow.
And I think, Liselotte, you also have a similar story, right?
Although my dad did conservatorium, so music studies, but that was in the time that people from conservatorium or sports academics were pushed into IT. So that's my dad, and but he really always loved technology, and he's also the one that opened the gate for me. Because I actually, if it wasn't been for my father, I wouldn't have chosen a study in technology. I was more thinking of the design academy, actually. He really opened the door for me to see that creativity is not only about design, but you can also be very creative in technology. So that was for me, very also inviting to choose technology.
That's something that I learned during the innovation cafes. I'm always a bit afraid of tech. And someone told me, like, that tech is like everywhere, you know? Tech doesn't have to be that difficult. It could also be like a hammer is also part of technology. And by seeing it from that perspective, it also opens up your mind to see it from a different perspective and also...
I also I wanted to add to that. So I have one of my good friends, she's an artist. And so we were talking about how to get to an idea or a project, and it was actually a super similar process as an artist to get to ideas and projects. So that was actually very interesting to hear. So
also the research processes that have been done are also
exactly
the same.
Although researchers refuse to admit this, but a lot of it is based on intuition and this feels right. But then they kind of like do like the backwards, try to, validate it with arguments and this paper and that paper, yeah. But, I mean, in the end, it's all a gut feeling. Why do you choose this type of research?
Yeah, and maybe I want to add that I don't like the stigma on technology and that it's so difficult and that you indeed have to be very smart when you go to a technical university. So when I told I'm going to study in Eindhoven doing the studies, and then they say, oh, then you must be really smart. I was like, no, I just have a different interest. So it's also a different type of smartness, I would say, because other people who study, give me an example, who's history.
Thank you.
Can also be very, very smart.
Yeah.
So I don't like that because it hires the bar, the entry barrier for girls to step in, because they think they need to be really, really smart.
We talked about this a little bit before. Huh? I have a daughter who is 11, and she's going to the Technasium here at the Eckert. And what I find out when she talks like, I want to go into tech, mostly the men are like really enthusiastic for her. The women are like, oh, okay, are you sure? Are you sure? And the men are like, whoa, that's awesome. Yeah, you're from Eindhoven. You should go to the TUE. So it's maybe also a bit changing because of you and the role that you take at the time. Shall we go to the second fragment? Robert. I will do the wave. Robert.
Ja, ik denk wat ik al heb gemerkt, wat ik dacht dat ik best wel goed kon, maar dat ik eigenlijk helemaal niet zo goed kon, is groots denken. Als ik dan mijn team hoor praten van ja, dan gaan we in 2031 50.000 machines produceren. En dan denk ik, 50.000 machines, hoe dan? En hoe kan dat dan? En we hebben helemaal geen fabriek, hoe gaan we dit doen? Terwijl je moet echt groots durven denken, die stip op de horizon kunnen zetten. We gaan dit gewoon doen en misschien wordt het dan iets minder wat je haalt. Maar als je die stip niet zet en niet zo groot denkt, dan ga je er helemaal niet komen. Dus voor mij is ook nog steeds een les om iets groter te leren denken. Niet zo klein, alles zelf willen doen, maar denk groot, betrek veel partners erbij. En wie weet waar het dan eindigt.
Wow. Would you like to start, Beatrix, or Eline?
Eline.
Normally you're not that quiet, so I was already...
I chose this fragment. I think it's a bit of a Dutch way to not think big, you know. In America, you have to think big and even bigger. So we kind of, it's a cultural thing. At the same time, it's also a female thing to make things smaller or think in details or in obstacles. Wow. Yeah. I might be stereotyping here, but men are inclined to think in bigger ambitions, and I find it's quite nice that you said I have to learn to think big, and I wondered, like, what does that mean, learning to think big? Is it something you can? Is it a skill or is it a philosophy or?
I think it's not only a philosophy, I think it's also more experience. I think I already learned this partly from my team, from our founder, Hans, from Marco, my colleague there. They are, smile and wave. No, they are really good at selling a vision for the future and explaining. When I have ideas, I often think of this year or next year. But when they talk about indeed 2030, 2035. They put on numbers to it, and I get a bit scared of that first. But now I try to, think more. Okay, what's the end goal, and what would be realistic to really make that impact? And normally I would start small. Okay, so what can I change tomorrow to make this impact? Well, actually, to really think big and make that impact, we should start more at the goal, the end goal, and the horizon. And it's just very, very difficult to think how big the society problems are right now, because you cannot sort of see the scale of it, but it's huge.
And what does that do with your mindset when you think that big? When you have that tip?
Well, first I'm scared. Terrified. But then you should start making plans and see, is it realistic what we're doing? Can we do it? Compare it maybe. I really like that we often compare it to the car industry. And that we say, well, we have to produce so many machines, but, well, look at the car industry. They produce around 100 million cars a year, and they pollute the world. So we can also make machines that clean up the world, right? Yeah.
Nice.
Who's with me?
Liselotte, would you like to add something to it?
Yeah, I also recognize what Beatrix is saying, but I also think that it's also the combination that's really nice. So on one hand, you need to make big plans and set a dot on the horizon, but I also like your way of accepting that big plan and then thinking, okay, so what are we going to do today, like the designs that you show in the Dutch Design Week where we're standing during the interview, is like, okay, so that vision, I'm going to translate that to make that a reality. And I also think that's like the way you say, as a woman, you can also be very pragmatic, I think. I also see that in your personality. And I think the combination of that is also very, very valuable. Because only dreaming big doesn't, no offense.
Dream big, but also be practical.
Yeah, but you see this also in the big tech giants of today, and also the sort of the visionaries for world outlooks that are often men who try to think bold and just say, we're gonna do this. And yeah, I would like to sometimes be a bit more like that.
Yeah, although I also saw the movie, I'm not really sure what it's called, but it's about the 3 women at NASA who Hidden Figures, that's the one. Okay. Yeah, so that's also a bit like that. They were like the driving force of actually realizing it, whereas like the ambition of having these big how do you say that? Travels in space. That was maybe imagined by men, but they were basically the women making it happen.
Yeah. So. Wow. But maybe also back to your company now, because I think also what I see now in a startup is when you want to have a startup or be an entrepreneur yourself one day, which I might want to, then you also need to sell that vision and look at the numbers, also in terms of business model, and that's also then a skill you need to have to do that and be a good entrepreneur. And that, and probably you also learn this, already apply this at We Heat.
Yeah, but I also recognize my partner, so Martijn van de Ven at We Heat. He's the one who sets the bar indeed for 2030. We will be the market leader on heat pumps all over the world, and I'm the one translating that to today, this year, how we're going to do that, how do we need to build that organization, so that I do recognize your story.
So yeah, I always make the analogy. So during my PhD, I always compared my supervisor and me like little balloons. So we were very good at riling each other up, like, and then we built this and then change the world, no more hunger, Africa. But then so like you always have to sort of make sure that there are anchors next to you who sometimes like pull you down before you burn yourself by
but you should also dream big, and then visualize and share what your dreams are to make them come true. Yeah, nice. Thank you. I think we are ready for the last fragment. Robert?
I thought I would do it without his name because it's not worth it. Yeah. It's not me. We can also talk a little bit further. Okay. Well, I can also ask a question. Oh, okay.
Ik heb altijd wel een beetje dat actieve, dat dominante in mezelf gehad. En ik heb een periode gehad dat ik dat een beetje weg probeerde te drukken. Want ja, dominant kan bij vrouwen toch snel als onaardig overkomen. En ik merk wel dat ik dat steeds meer een beetje probeer te laten doorschijnen. En gewoon meer mezelf ben. En dat geeft zich dan vorm in bijvoorbeeld in een bestuursmeeting eerder ertussen springen en mijn mening geven. Of eerder zeggen nee, dat gaan we niet doen. Terwijl dat, ja, het blijft moeilijk om tegen zware, grote mannen in te gaan. En ja, dan moet je op een gegeven moment gewoon denken, ga ik gewoon doen en dan zien we wel waar het schip strandt.
Ja, dus eerst onderdrukte je eigenlijk ook iets in jezelf.
Ja,
dus je dacht dat dat misschien zo hoorde, hè?
Ja, want dat is wel een beetje het beeld wat je ziet natuurlijk. De vrouwen zijn over het algemeen iets minder dominant. En je ziet ook wel in de wereld dat als vrouwen dominanter karakter hebben, dat dat toch minder snel als iets positiefs wordt gezien dan bij mannen. Dus dan ga je toch, ja, je gaat dat overnemen. En nu heb ik iets meer dat ik denk, scheid eraan, we gaan er gewoon voor.
Ja, dat ben ik. En je hebt gewoon die doelen die je wil bereiken natuurlijk.
Ja, precies. Ja. Als je iets wil bereiken, dan moet je het gewoon er vol voor gaan.
Who wants to start?
Eline, again?
It's hard to reflect on your own.
What do you want to know?
No, maybe Eline should start. I think it's good because, yeah.
I think with Veronne, she really had a personal development. I knew her for 2 years now, and in the beginning, she seemed indeed rather a bit shy, and I was trying to look like, okay, but she has so much potential. She's so smart. What's happening here? And then, in the end of the series, you say like, okay, I suppressed this character, and now it's coming out, which was a really good statement. And I think we can all agree, of course, that dominance in women is not always appreciated, but it's a very, I think, a strength. And I was wondering how you look back on this comment. And
well, I got the feedback from my colleague, a male colleague, that he got a comment that I was very negative about men from someone else. I thought that might have been a man. I'm like, I didn't see the fragment. I'm not sure what you're talking about. But if I look back on it, I see a real reflection, because the first part was like, there's like 1.5 years in between. And I definitely see that I'm more myself in the last part of the series. And that's also the part that I want to be. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I was curious. The dominant part. Do you have like a mother or a father who has that dominant part as well? Or maybe suppressed a little bit?
Yeah, I think my mom is a businesswoman, and my dad as well. But I think I saw my mom set up her own business, and she doesn't let herself get fooled around with. So I think she might be my role model.
Wow.
Maybe.
Your role model.
Yeah, my role model.
That's really nice. Yeah. And for you? Yeah.
Yeah, so I also say that I believe in the, I don't know if it got the cut, but somewhere when you asked me about the different women that we interviewed, I really also saw that in Veronne. When, like you also said, that's the person I want to be, but you also could feel that it's your natural way of being, so that is really you. And I also really like to see that in the series, but in the conversations that we had. And I also recognize it, I think maybe for all of us being here, yes, definitely you, the dominant part, is that, dominant always has a bit of a negative, it sounds negative, being dominant, but I always like it more like a woman who just stands for who she is, and her opinion counts. And I also saw that in you, so that was, I think, very nice. I also like that you chose this fragment of Veronne, because it's very strong.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I also like it as well that it's been chosen, and I think one of the important things is that, like when you go to high school, something like that, and you're more dominant as a younger girl,
you're not usually very much appreciated by everyone. And also in my current friend group from university or something like that, I had to get used to the fact that they are okay with it. So, like, if you need to arrange a vacation, I'm your girl, because I will do that. It's fine. And also with, like, for example, I love to ski, and if we're on the slopes and everyone is like, yeah, what shall we do? What shall we do? I'm like, okay, guys, let's do this, 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 and this. And then we go lunch there. And it could come over as very controlling, but it's what I've noticed is I could think really fast while everyone is still processing. I'm already, like, way further. And it's not necessarily a book smart kind of thing, but I've learned to think, I think, different than... Well, I think everyone thinks different than everyone, basically. But I've noticed that I have my own little ways of doing things. And they work for me. And they might come over as dominant sometimes.
Do you want something to say?
Oh, no, actually, we just had a discussion right before this panel discussion about the label dominant. That it's very quickly stuck to woman, where you are a person, you know what you want, you're opinionated, not afraid to express yourself, and yeah, so I mean that could also qualify as just being assertive.
Yeah, I was curious, what is dominant?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
For me, is dominance also has a little bit of you don't care about other people's opinions, as it's my way or the highway kind of thing. But I mean, watching the series, which everyone has done, I believe by now. Yeah. so watching the series, like, you don't come across at all like that. You're just like self-assured. You know what you want, how you want it, when you want it. There you go. So that is not dominance per se, I would say.
Thank you. I think this is also a good moment for the audience. Are there questions for these role models? Who are you and what is your question?
I am Gonzalo, and I would like to ask, I only heard your voice, but in the beginning you all talked about the role of your fathers, not of your mothers. And I would like to know more about your mothers.
She's not available.
Thank you. Who wants to start?
You're all looking at me, okay?
You're quiet, so...
Yeah, my mom studied at the technical university, and actually, she always tells me, I don't understand why you're so worrying about this whole female-male thing. It wasn't a thing when I studied. It came later. I think she was just not thinking about it. She didn't feel that whole difference, and so I think she was also maybe a bit bold in that sense, because she just didn't care. But later in her career, she indeed had some, she worked at a real, how I wanted to say this politely,
If it's
a
really
tech
unpolite,
company which is a bit bold and bulky, and yes. And then she... It's bankrupt already. And then she said indeed that she didn't always got the opportunities that she thought she could get. And also that the men were really surprised that she got paid, that when they found out she got paid the same amount as they did. Because they were doing the sales and she was actually doing all the engineering, so all the work, you could also say. And then they were really surprised that she discussed for the same salary.
Wow.
So I think that's already an example for me. Yeah, for sure. She is my hero.
No, that's nice. And Wieteke, Veronne, we already talked about your mother a little bit, but maybe do you want to give a bit more context about it?
So my mom she finished high school and she didn't study afterwards because her parents got divorced. But she still regrets it up to this day. However, when she was 50 plus, she decided to go back into studying and then started her own reflexology, I don't know if that's the correct word, therapist practice at home. And she also has a few other businesses with her brother. So I think that's also where I got it from. And yeah, I can. My mother looks a lot like my sister, and I can see some similarities in terms of insecurities and stuff like that. And I honestly don't get it, because a lot of the time she says like, "Wow, we made 3 such smart children," and I'm like, "Mom, you're super smart as well. I can do what you do, so give yourself some compliments sometimes." Yeah.
You should tell her that.
Yeah, I tell her that a lot.
Yeah, so my mom, so I'm going to phrase it so I hope it doesn't come across as negative. So my mom, she gave up her career and decided to be a stay-home mom. But I also guess like the way my parents had their very typical, stereotypical relationship where my dad changed all the light bulbs and did everything there, and my mom did the cooking kind of thing. That was very quickly I realized horror for me. So that was not where I wanted to end up. So in that sense, she was a role model.
Yeah, and very inspiring as well.
But yeah, I do have to say that they have always empowered my skills, and that was always like very powerful. That there was never focus on appearance, looks, do you fit, are you hip, fashion, those kind of things. So I never paid attention to that. It was all about what kind of human are you, what do you achieve, do you, exploit your capabilities and those kind of things. So that was, yeah.
Wow. Liselotte? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels empty. That's better. Whoa. So my mother works in education. Actually, a lot of people in my family do. My sister does. So I knew I didn't want to be in education for me. But my mother always had a very entrepreneurial spirit. So she set up all kinds of groups and is very caring about the community and people in the community. So she is a role model for me, really, and she's absolutely not technical, but she is a role model for me in how she is as a mother. I'm a mother now myself as well, and the way she cares for people and for the planet. That's really how she's a role model for me. You want an empty one, or you want this one? Oh, okay.
Well, I didn't talk about my father.
Or maybe a little bit like. Still not working.
A little bit. I always get the empty things. Well, I wasn't in this documentary. I didn't speak about my father, so. No, I grew up, actually, my parents are quite religious. They're Jehovah's Witnesses. And I grew up in this very conservative way of thinking, the role model, the model father, mother stayed at home. But my mom, she always had a career of her own. She took care of elderly people. She still does. And I admire her for it, because she wasn't really... her mother said, no, don't go to school. You have to stay home and take care of the kids and pray and read the Bible and stuff like that. But she did her career, and she's still working. And my father is now at home, and she's working. And yeah. So in her way, she did show me the example of how important it is to keep your own career.
And also a big inspiration for the gender studies, maybe. The role models, or yeah. Wow. Does that give you? Yeah. She was first. Oh, yes. Yeah. My name is Kato Ploem, and I work for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I work around cyber and diplomacy. And I think your stories are very inspiring, and it really, it's actually, okay, so sorry. It's actually a personal question, because I also want to be an entrepreneur, and all the stories, again, is very inspiring. But I was wondering, how can I be in your position? Because now I'm actually in a very comfortable job. It's also a good one. I'm also a mother. So it's also a bit scared to take that jump. So I was really wondering if you have an advice on that. Who wants to answer that question? We have a bit of a challenge with the one mic, but you will manage it.
I don't know if I can give you a very useful advice because I kind of just rolled into it. But for me, the main point that got me through the past 3-4 years, because it's ups and downs, a lot of them. The first year I was like, oh, this is easy ride. I don't know what the roller coaster is that everyone's talking about. Well, we're in the roller coaster right now. But you need to find the people around you who can support you. And we've got a really tight group of founders. We're more friends than colleagues, I think. You need to find a diverse team. I think that's pretty important. And also one of the most important things that I always say is if you do something with passion, you will get there eventually. So that's, I don't know if it's useful, but that's the advice that I would give.
You can always ask more questions during the dinner, to go a little bit in depth. Annemone.
Visit me later.
I'm Annemone. I'm the founder of Kazerne and the Innovation Café, and I'm also an entrepreneur. And actually, I was brought up like. No, I'm not going to talk about that, but I don't give a shit that you're women. You're beautiful people, and you're doing a great job. I'm actually curious, what is your biggest achievement right now? And can you tell me that in words that I, as a designer, can understand?
Biggest achievement in the technology science thing?
Whatever.
Whatever.
It can also be personal.
Oh.
Whatever you feel like.
Personal. Well, let's start with the
Science is also fine.
it's,
Don't worry.
it's a very easy, safe environment, right? So I guess the thing I'm proud of was that during my PhD, I found some effects which I thought was very interesting, and I convinced my supervisor, and I was very lucky with that. He basically said already very quickly early on in my PhD, he said, you know what? You're probably the better expert than I am. So if you think it's interesting, you go do it. And then in the end, it turned out to be the most important experiment in sense of understanding a mechanism. Doesn't really matter. But also,
we want to know the effect.
Yeah. I will give you the reference. But also it proved a theory which was already 30, 40 years in existence, and no one managed to actually prove that. So, yeah, that was...
wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's the belief in yourself.
For sure.
Ooh. I would say building the company from the ground up, even though it's basically my whole career. But it has been a dream of mine to start my own company. I'm not sure why. Might be my mom. And yeah, it's crazy to see that we've grown as a team, so that you actually can hire people and pay them. It's also that's important. And it's also crazy that every month on my own bank account I see my own salary, and that I can actually pay my groceries from. And even though I would like more stability and be sure that in March I will also get a salary, it's still worth the risk of having your own company. So I think, yeah, just building it from scratch and putting my own ideas into a product that people can buy is my biggest achievement.
Wow. Applause for that as well, huh? Do you want to answer the question?
I had to, you said. No. No, I think for me, I always really like the team efforts. And now I feel I have that feeling again. So that we are with one team striving towards one goal. That is very important to me. And I think last year we were able to secure another funding round, and I think that was really a team effort from multiple sides within the team. And then I actually hope that the biggest milestones are still coming this year. So stay tuned.
Also big applause, of course. Yeah. Liselotte, would you also like to? Yeah, we have the mic challenge.
I recognize, well, not your part, I didn't invent such crazy things, but I do recognize when at We Heat, when walking around, actually 2 years ago we went to a new building and we were there with only 3 people. It's a huge building. And when you walk around, the lights went on, and at lunch I had to call people like, are there any people in the building? And now 2 years later, when I look around and all the offices are filled and I see people from all kinds of areas from the company, because you need supply chain, we have our own factory, so you have people in production, in HR, in a lot of engineering, and I see those people together building that company and being so proud of the company that we're building, then I'm sort of having an inception proud moment, because I feel like I wasn't there at the beginning, and finding all those people who are now so feeling fulfilled by their daily job, that really really feels for me like a self, how do you say? Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Go me.
Eline?
For me, my biggest achievement was actually going to the university, because I never imagined I could go there. It was never in my education at home. It was never brought up as something you could achieve. So for me, sitting there for the first time, I remember they were talking about Plato, but I never heard about this guy. I only read. I was like, who is this? And all the people around me knew it, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But in the end, I succeeded by hard work, really hard work, and I think that's
Even 2 university studies, right?
Yeah, I did a master's. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, we have another question.
I am Femke, and I am a student at Eindhoven University of Technology. And I'm very impressed by what you've all have achieved. It's amazing, actually. But like Beatrix said, you have to think big and dream. So I was wondering, now that you've already achieved such a huge thing, what are your dreams now? What is the next big thing?
Good question, Femke. It was her answer, Cindy.
I have multiple ideas still. Let's pitch one. I had this feeling, so my field is energy and sustainability. And sometimes I feel like we're all on this enormous challenge towards 2050, where we want to become energy neutral and save our planet. And sometimes it also feels to me that all these people who are on the same page are indeed running for that same mission. I don't know how I want to do this yet, but maybe every 5 years sort of I want to publish a progress report or a book or a podcast or I don't know, something on what has happened the past 5 years, what were the major events, and sort of make it a very long movie until 2050. What have we achieved then? Or have we made it, yes or no?
That's a big dream.
Maybe that's a big dream, but I don't know. Something like that.
Thank you. Veronne.
Well, we're still at the start of the company, so we're currently selling the product, but what would be my biggest dream right now, I think, would be if I go to the physiotherapist, that I see someone actually using my app without me even knowing it, and them actually giving a good review at the session, hopefully. And I think the bigger dream, and you can dream big, obviously, we also work with PSV, and we've had a conversation with Red Bull race team a few years ago, but I mean, how cool would it be if you see it in Formula One, someone actually using your product? So that would be out of scope, but dreaming big.
I think it's achievable.
Could be achievable. Yeah, you already see the fit lights and stuff like that at the Formula One, so it's kind of in the same.
So next
area.
year when we meet, you will
yes.
get it done.
No. I will be at the Hockenheimring. So.
So I guess mine will look quite pale next to Beatrix, who just want to save the planet.
Well, you had an effect thing.
Yeah. I guess for me, it's like I do not plan my life. So I like to kind of respond to things which feel good. And so, like, for example, at the end of my PhD, there was an opportunity that half a year later I lived in New York for 5 years, which was never my dream, never my planning, but yeah, it happened. And then, I don't know, like things, they happen, they come onto my path, and then I just by feeling, you know, if it feels right, then I do it. Of course, for now, we need to finish that quantum computer. So that's
a dream.
But yesterday, but that's not really my achievement. But yeah, which is going to save the planet as well.
It's not a battle. Yeah, I feel very much the same like Wieteke. And also that's why I can also relate to the answer that Beatrix gave about learning how to think big. Because it's all, for me, in my life, it's always a lot about seeing the chances that are coming by and grabbing them and realizing that. That's also how the documentary started, basically by, whoop, I have an idea, let's do it. So yeah, I have the same, yeah, being alive like you have. Yeah, so I don't know yet, but I always I have my eyes open for that chances that are there. Chance is not the right word, right? Or opportunities.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Well, for me, it's to meet more people like you and make more stories about exceptional people or situations that are in the world. And yeah, that's my mission.
Thank you. Wow. That's a really nice mission as well. It's about time. Oh, we have many questions. We have so many questions. One more. Oh, who should I pick?
Thank you. I'm Oded. I'm working at TU Eindhoven. I wonder, this you said about the fact that you will try to live in the men's world, somehow adjust and make it work. But I think there are so many qualities that women have that men don't have. So what are the unique characteristics of females in this environment that make you different and make the companies where you work or the place where you work succeed better? Because you have a different perspective, I think.
I think what I noticed is the fact that we need more applications rather than, so you need, like you said, it's an intersection of different technologies that could make something work. And I think what I noticed also is that women are really good in connecting these dots, like think more horizontally, less detail-oriented, but really connect. And that's what I also noticed in all of you, is that you're really good in that.
And you also said during our phone call yesterday that it's more about, not about tech for tech, but more tech for a solution or a service.
Yeah, to
or
save
what?
the world.
Society. Oh, society. Thank you. Yeah. And so that's also maybe, yeah. Someone else who wants to answer this question? Yeah, Wieteke, you're not going to answer that question. You do that at home.
Yeah, I also, from research, I learned that women also bring a lot of creativity. So to have the combination between men and women, they bring a different kind of creativity. So you have more creative solutions when you combine both women and men. Better perspectives also on research. For example, when you look at, for example, car seat belts, when they are designed for men, so there are way more women in car accidents, for example. So to have that perspective from women, also, for example, in medicines, have a broader perspective on that is very important. And there are many more examples for this area. So there are many, I think, examples of why it's good to have both men and women. And what I also noticed when talking to women for the series, but also, for example, yesterday I had an event at the university in Eindhoven, was that what I learned was that women that enter this field, they work really hard. So I, for example, talked to an assistant professor at the university, and she always feels that she needs to compensate being a woman because she needs to prove that she needs to be there. And she does that by working extra hard. And she also acknowledged that's not very healthy. But I think as a woman, we are very good at working really, really hard. And also combining that what other roles are expected from you as a mother or as someone taking care of the home, for example. So I think we shouldn't underestimate how hard women can work. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe one more addition. What I really experienced as well is that when we had our colleague, a female colleague, also joining the board, I really saw a difference in the team as well. And in the end, technology is made by people. So it's not only. I think she is an example for me because she's a very caring person and really about looking into how can I get the best out of these people. And this sounds very, and I don't like that, but this sounds very feminine again. Oh, there's a woman taking care of the people. But no, she is really taking care of the tech as well, because she needs to make the people drive and thrive. Yeah. So I already saw that in practice happening, and I thought, whoa, it can have such an effect. And I'm not sure if it's because the woman, it's just her characteristics that enable that. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have so much time, but luckily we have a dinner. So we can talk further. We also asked the women to sit, separated, so we can also have like a conversation with everybody, so they won't talk all together. Yes, yes. Yeah, sure, I'm not there yet. Yeah. Sorry, Cindy, what do you want to say? Because then I go to Betsy, because I wanted to end with her.
Where we can watch the series, because you all want to see it, right? Yeah.
It's good that you're from communication.
Yeah, I'm from communication. The university has our own YouTube channel. You can find all sorts of awesome things there. But also this series. It's on the YouTube channel of the University of Eindhoven, dus TUE. And then you see the whole series. You can binge watch it. So I have the figures right now, so I can just see if it goes up. So.
Cindy, if you have extra time, can you also work for me as a communication? Thank you. But before we end, I want to give the stage a big applause for Betsy. For the people who don't know her, she is like actually the big initiator of this event tonight. Betsy.
So first of all, thank you so much for the inspiration. All of you really made me feel renewed. These last few years have been really hard for me. I'm sorry, my father-in-law is dying, so I'm a little emotional right now. But these last few years have been really hard for me. I'm a startup innovator. I had my own startup last year that I left, and now I'm involved in 2 new startups, which I'm really energized about. But everything you were saying here today really made me excited because we're living in a time when gender studies are illegal in the United States. Literally, look in the news. The last few days, terms were outlawed that you cannot study or implement these things. The Department of Education in the United States said, I'm trying to keep this positive. We talked about this, saying let's keep this shit positive tonight. Let's not whine and complain about how hard it is to be a female. Let's be positive. But I'm telling you right now, this is the time to be positive and drive past all the negativity in the United States. I'm an American who's seeking asylum here in the Netherlands right now, and to be frank, I'm so blessed to be around such brilliant women. I really, connecting the dots, that is what we do. I am a networker. I'm a connector. I do this 10 times better than any man could ever do. And, and honestly, I'm so proud of these women and what they've done. And it really, the genesis of this event was really things coming together, right? I work with, I'm the sourcer of tech speakers for this ongoing event, but I also am part of the Tech for Good, aka Banana Men group, from which is our group that is a joint group of women from Eindhoven and Frankfurt. And I was like, we need these women to come to Eindhoven, and Alina has this new movie coming out. What if we put it at the Eindhoven Café, Innovation Café? I mean, just connecting my dots and saying, let's feature these amazing people who are bringing forward technology, inspiring all of us to do better and do more. Until 5 years ago, I actually did not believe gender was a necessary topic. I came out of banking and I was like, what are all these people whining about? Why do we need this representation? And then I found out that yes, men need us for our labor, but they don't want us to make decisions. And that's personally happened to me a couple times. The glass ceiling is real, and I'm so glad that we can change the world by continuing to show up, participate, and connect the dots.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a really good one, Beatrix. Beatrix said, let's have a big applause for the men as well, because, Okay, and I think this is a really good ending. Thank you so much for your inspiring story, and thank you all for your questions and your time, and let's go have a drink and have a nice dinner, and enjoy your evening. And hope to see you next time at the Innovation Café.